Hello, this is Justin Thorpe here with you from Dana Arts, and I'm going to go over some text and text options, and this will be for when you're having issues. I usually just do block because it's easier and no issues, but sometimes when you want cursive or some other fonts, issues happen, and I'll show you some of them. Normally this would be too small of a font anyway, because if you measure it, it's only 0.117 millimeters wide, which is way too thin. So I'll usually come over here and click on the text object and find the font you want, and I'll go bold, and I'll bring it out as a curve because I'll probably have to adjust it, so there's no use doing a solid or a surface. But script is the hardest because there's always too many thin areas. But just for the sake of, you can go through, even with it bold, it's never going to be thick enough. You have to go through and turn on the points. Sometimes you'll have to even explode and go through and join all these separate lines how you want them, and then rebuild the line to a smaller line, and it creates a more cleaner letter. But the first thing I like to do is just extrude. Pull it out, extrude it, see if there's any issues. And as you can see, there are no issues on most of it, except for on that T. So let's look at the T. I'm just going to delete those. Let's say you want that T to work out. Well, first I would diagnose it and just extrude and see if it'll extrude. It does. So there's probably no issues. I'll extrude that. And it seems to be no issues, but together there's an issue. So we've got to dig deeper. So turn on those points, and yes, going through, joining lines, rebuilding lines will usually clean up a lot of it. But it usually has to do with either an overlapping line or some type of a overlap. So you go into these corners, that's probably where it's going to happen. This one, nothing there, and then boom, right here. You can see it overlaps. That would make it not work. So just move that point, zoom back out, and we'll test it again. There could be other points, but let's just test it out and see. It worked. So therefore that was the issue. There are other issues that come along. I'm gonna just see where it'll say, hey, curve selected to extrude include self-intersecting curves. Okay, so we're not going to do that. We're going to try and solve it first. So again, I'll take a few here and just extrude and see if they extrude. Nope. Try those, see if they extrude. They do. Just fine. So we'll go to the EAs. They extrude just fine, so it's not them. Extrude this one. That's fine. So it's got to be the F. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to separate this. We're going to look into it. Let's see if, first of all, if these little circles will extrude just fine or not. And they seem to extrude just fine. So it's got to be this outside piece. We'll turn on the points. It's not too bad with points, but we'll zoom into each little corner and see what's going on. Oh. Sometimes you have to go really in far to see. Doesn't seem too bad. And there. Doesn't look like it, so we'll have to really dig deep. So, don't want to try extruding yet and rebuilding, but that's probably what I'll have to do. Usually when it's self-intersecting, it's overlapping somewhere. Right here, yep, there we go. Oh, there we go. So it's one of these where that is a little bit longer. So I'm going to explode this. Take this line and delete that one. Split it. Delete that. And hopefully that's all the issue. Join, extrude, it extrudes, let's extrude it with everything, and it works. So that was it. Okay, now if you were to make this font work, you'd have to, of course, measure each little part here and say, oh, that's 0.4, that should work. That's like 0.13. So it would never work. So in that case, you're going to have to turn on points, maybe pull that up, maybe pull that down so you're getting a little more thickness in there. Maybe you would take this and change the font. So you'd go through here. Be much easier when you explode, rejoin all the lines and rebuild them so they don't have these kinks, and it's a lot smoother. But just kind of showing you right there, so you'd have to pretty much do that to be able to make the font work, and then you would come through and make sure they're one, and then you could extrude them, and then you got your font. So that's why block text is much easier. Let's try one more example. Can extrude just a little bit. Let's see, so everything pretty much came out. That one not totally, but we'll work on that W. Okay, so I'm just going to delete this stuff. We're going to work on that W. Again, turn on the points. There it is right there. Okay. And that might have fixed it right there. And yes. So there we go. We got that working. And that's all you do for text. Hope you found this interesting and something that is helpful for text. And when you run into issues, just rebuild, look for those corners, overlapping, extra lines, and you should be good to go. If you like this video, comment or subscribe, and let me know if you would like to see more videos.